I had already recorded the whole video, but now there's a huge emergency update. Donald Trump just bought massive amounts of Bitcoin. And that was just a day before the crypto summit. Additionally, we have serious allegations of manipulation, and Bitwise CEO Marty Huggins says that the strategic Bitcoin reserve could be much larger than we all expect. The emergency update is at the end of the video. But first, let's check out the video I recorded earlier, which also uncovers relevant data and backgrounds, leaks, and manipulations. Massive new background information has leaked about the crypto summit, where Donald Trump is expected to announce this Friday that a strategic Bitcoin reserve will be established in the U.S. There are now new details about an insider manipulation involving a guy named Charles, who already pumped Bitcoin, traded correctly by Donald Trump with a 50x long position. And now we have some brand new, hot, juicy insights that we need to check out. Michael Saylor hints in a new interview that the US will buy 1 million Bitcoin, as he was asked about the crypto summit, which he will also be attending. Super intense. In addition, a list will be released with all the participants, which is also highly sensitive. We have Cynthia Lummis, who is still skeptical and says that there won't be a strategic Bitcoin reserve. We have information about a new special announcement concerning Bitcoin that could change everything again. This is about taxes in the US that could possibly be eliminated. This is also set to be announced here at the summit. It's really crazy what's going on right now. As I mentioned, we just got confirmation from Howard Lutnick that this Friday, Donald Trump is supposed to announce that a strategic Bitcoin reserve is coming. And now, attention everyone, we've got some really hot information, and a lot of people are talking about potential market manipulation. I hinted at this a bit in the last video. The trader here who correctly traded the last highs and lows. And he did that with a 50x leverage, trading $200 million in cryptocurrencies. So first, he traded the pump correctly with a 50x leverage, where Donald Trump then tweeted about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. After that, he correctly placed the short when Trump announced the tariffs, which caused a massive dump. He changed his name on March 7th. But all this stuff is going viral right now, and a whole lot of people are speculating about what this whole thing is really about. We need to take a closer look at this. 7th March is definitely the date of the crypto summit, because it looks like the insider has some information again. So we really need to keep an eye out to see if any positions are being set here. So far, he hasn't set any positions. So far, he has only changed his name to 7th March, and we can now assume that something massive is potentially coming. But we just don't know if the trade is going to go down, like if he's going to short it or if he's going to go long. There was actually a survey about whether we would see a pump or a dump here on March 7th. March here, see a pump or a dump, and that was actually a relevant survey. Here, almost 10,000 people participated. And that was all here. Bitcoin or crypto people, because this was a poll by Marty. Right now, more people are actually expecting a dump rather than a pump. And now we really need to keep an eye on what the insider does, and based on that, we might even speculate on whether he actually gets it right again. Because like I said, the last 2 times he was spot on. It can only be market manipulation because no normal person would go 50x long. And then after that he made the short trade, which then crashed, or he had the inside information that the tariffs were coming. And now he might have insider information again, and we need to keep a close watch on it. But this is all not financial advice. He might be messing with us this time. That means he might be putting in some fake positions or something like that, or that he could be wrong this time, and so on. That means you can't just rely on one order. That's always what a lot of people sell, like copy trading or something, where they say, okay, now we're just going to follow someone else's trades and then we'll all get rich. I mean, if it were that easy, then everyone would be doing it, but it just doesn't work that way. And accordingly, there's a big warning here. That is, only because the order now sets some trades, or something like that. You still have to be on your guard here, because it doesn't necessarily have to be the right trade this time, although we're just looking at the last 2 trades. Let me say, we had a very good starting position, and actually already, we can assume that this is an insider. Because there are more and more allegations of manipulation, like here, where Marty says, folks, as I already told you, is the market being manipulated by Binance? When there's good news, they'll short the market, so they go short and get rid of late long positions. With bad news, they'll pump up the market to get rid of late shorts. Trade accordingly, stop making the same mistake. Today, Howard Lutnick announces that the strategic Bitcoin reserve is coming on Friday. And right away, I see how Binance is sending assets to their offshore market makers. And the reds and yellows are back at it, taking out liquidation levels. It's 2025, get smarter. So, this is a warning from him that you shouldn't be over-leveraged here, that you should be careful, because if there are too many long positions or too many short positions, then Binance will liquidate them. Binance is basically betting against the order books or the liquidation phases that exist in the market. Please let me know if you currently think that the market is being manipulated, or if there's going to be another big manipulation this Friday. Or do you say, no, everything's fine? And let me know if you think it's going to be more of a dump or a pump on Friday. So, most people are currently expecting a dump, at least if you can trust what's out there on the internet. And now we also had a little release here, not a leak, but a release from the people participating in the Congress. And there were also a lot of wrong lists. For example, there were people listed who weren't even confirmed yet, like Katie Wood, Vitalik Buterin, Paulo Ardino, and so on. These are all people, Mark Andreessen, Charles Hoskinson, who are all from the crypto space and supposedly would have been involved, but they aren't confirmed yet. The people who are already confirmed will definitely be at the crypto summit. And for sure, Donald Trump will likely announce the strategic Bitcoin reserve here. He also said he will give a speech. For sure, Michael Saylor is in, and David Bailey too. It's definitely important that those two are involved. But if you keep looking, it's just a bunch of crypto people. Here's Brett Garlinghouse from Ripple, the CEO from Crypto.com, the CEO of Kraken, the CEO of Robinhood, the CEO of Coinbase, co-founder of Chainlink. So, we have a huge lineup of shitcoins here. Of course, we also have a few officials here, B.O. Hines, David Sachs, Mark Oyeta, Caroline Pam. These are just the officials from the SEC, from the TREZOR. Then here, Executive Director of the Presidential Council. As an advertiser for digital assets, he's the one handling the whole digital asset thing. Then unconfirmed, Howard Lutnick isn't even confirmed yet, Scott Bessent isn't either, and Pam Bondi isn't confirmed either. We need to take a look. In any case, the list is very, very promising, but unfortunately there are very, very many shitcoiners here. I'd say the Bitcoin crowd. The Bitcoin lobby isn't really represented here that much. But that always creates a problem, because all these crypto folks are probably throwing around a lot of money to be here, and of course, they might get invited. And now there's actually been a leak regarding Donald Trump. So, like I said, the announcement of the strategic Bitcoin reserve is probably coming, and maybe even a crypto reserve. But now there's actually been a leak, or a lot of people claiming this. It also says rumor here, so it's hard to say for sure. But a rumor can also be more than just a rumor. It's been going around for a while. And it says here, Trump is announcing a 0% capital gains tax at the crypto summit on Friday. US crypto assets held for over a year. If that's true, the market is going to explode. That would be crazy. Then it would be similar to how it is in Germany. In Germany, it's also the case that Bitcoin is tax-free after a year. Germany has a big advantage because many countries don't have that anymore. A lot of people don't even know this, especially those living in Germany, that it's not like that in many other countries. In Austria, it's not like that. In most countries worldwide, it's not like that. Then you have to pay capital gains tax. And now the US wants to get rid of that, and it would basically be another step here. For Bitcoin adoption, by the way, if you are looking for a tool to perfectly track your taxes, then I have put a link to coin tracking below. You can also track exactly this kind of stuff here, like which coins are tax-free and which ones aren't. You can also generate tax reports here if you want to handle your taxes, because that's actually an important thing. If you don't do this correctly, you can really get into hot water here, so make sure to handle your taxes correctly. Use a tracking tool like coin tracking, and you can use it completely for free at first. You can even use it completely anonymously. If you don't provide your email address, you can just use a pseudonymous name. Absolutely recommended. I'll put a link below. With the code BOOKHOTEL, you also get a discount if you sign up for a pro account. So in any case, we have to see whether the announcement comes from Donald Trump that taxes will be reduced here, that we have 0% taxes on crypto values that are held for longer than a year. And now we have something very, very exciting here. And now everyone is feeling bullish and thinking that the strategic Bitcoin reserve is coming. Now we have another statement here from Cynthia Lummis, who is always very, very bullish here. But she gives a warning here, and she says here, the senator doesn't believe that Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve will be implemented anytime soon. President Trump's proposal for a strategic Bitcoin reserve in the US has gained some support among crypto-friendly members of Congress, although its short-term feasibility is being questioned. Cynthia Lummis, the Republican senator from Wyoming who introduced the bill, admits that there's a lack of support in Congress. At the Bitcoin Investor Day in New York, she noticed resistance even from her Republican colleagues, so from her own party. And he quoted the chairman of the House Banking Committee, Tim Scott, who suggested a delay and highlighted the lack of preparation as the main obstacle. So, we really need to pay close attention here. So, Cynthia Lummis, who is also very bullish, is clearly warning that she doesn't think it's going to happen. Now we actually need to make a distinction here, because a lot of people have interpreted Cynthia Lummis' statement as bearish, saying that it's not going to happen. But we also need to distinguish that Donald Trump is probably talking about a different crypto reserve. Cynthia Lummis is actually talking about the Bitcoin bill here. And that's what gets set in motion through Congress over a long process. And then you really need a majority in Congress, in the Senate, and so on, in the Banking Committee, where you really need those majorities. And that's also something that's much more long-term, where it really can't just be easily reversed. What Donald Trump is talking about, as far as I understand, is more about an executive order. He's saying, okay, if you have a strategic Bitcoin reserve through an executive order, but the downside is that you don't have the majorities in place. But that also means that if the next party comes in and Donald Trump is no longer in power, it could be that the Bitcoin law or the Bitcoin bill or the executive order gets overturned. And you can only really anchor this deeply in legislation if there are majorities in place. If you go through the whole legislative process in the Senate, the Banking Committee, Congress, and so on, just like Cynthia Lummis suggests. And that's why you have to make a distinction. It could be that Donald Trump's executive order comes into play here, but not the Bitcoin bill that Cynthia Lummis emphasizes. I think they emphasize this here. I'm not 100% sure because it's always very, very difficult to pinpoint exact details. But from what I'm hearing, Cynthia Lummis is bearish on the Bitcoin bill, while Donald Trump might be looking at an executive order, which is something different. The two don't necessarily exclude each other. I think both could actually happen. For example, if the executive order comes first, the Bitcoin bill can still be implemented afterward. But we need to understand that as long as there are no approvals, no big approvals, it's always very, very difficult to get something like this through. And then having a short-term executive order that gets overturned after 2, 3, or 4 years, well, that might not be the best move. And now check out these crazy statements from Michael Saylor, who was in an interview, and here he brings up some really, really interesting things. He was asked about how it is. His assessment is about the crypto summit and strategic Bitcoin reserves and a whole lot of details.
Purchases these Bitcoin and other tokens, what is that going to do to the price? I mean, supply goes down, the price goes up?
Well, the most responsible thing would be to go slow and steady and deliberate with clear telegraphing and transparency so that the real key about Bitcoin is for people to understand that it's digital property. It's a savings account that empowers every single American to save their wealth and preserve it over time. And so what the government can do is to give clarity to the asset class and confidence to every American citizen so they know they have an alternative to gambling and the stock market.
He is asked here about the Bitcoin price, and he does not say here now, the Bitcoin price will be at 10 million. Or rather, he simply says that the smartest move would be to not buy Bitcoin all at once, but to accumulate it very slowly, with a lot of transparency over a longer period of time. He emphasizes the need for clear regulations so that people can invest in Bitcoin and move away from gambling. Is investing in Bitcoin the best investment vehicle or the best savings tool?
I know you said that it's above your pay grade to decide, but you are allowed an opinion. Do you think taxpayer money should be used to purchase these tokens and points to fill the reserve?
Well, I think the way to think about the industry is there's digital commodities, that's Bitcoin, an asset without an issuer. There's digital currencies like the stable coins. That's really important for US dollar supremacy and digital commerce. There are digital securities like tokenized stocks and bonds that will actually provide a capital efficiency and globalization for American securities. And then there are digital tokens, assets with issuers that provide digital utility that are very interesting and compelling. Their role is capital creation for the small and mid-sized companies that are blocked from the capital markets right now. I think that it's wise to capitalize a country or a company on a commodity, an asset without an issuer, something like a property. You could buy oil. Bitcoin is a commodity.
Similarly, Bitcoin is also classified as a commodity. However, unlike traditional commodities, Bitcoin is a digital asset that operates without a central issuer or governing body. This lack of a central authority is what makes it unique and different from other commodities. Therefore, investing in such assets requires a different approach and understanding of the market dynamics involved. Without an issuer, so without a publisher. That's why it would be wise to bet on a commodity here. And it's really interesting how Michael Saylor used to be very aggressive. And now, as he might be getting closer to Donald Trump, he suddenly says, yeah, maybe we don't even need to use gold and can just buy Bitcoin instead. And yeah, maybe we could even create a crypto reserve. It's not really necessary to be Bitcoin only and so on. I get the feeling that he's becoming less aggressive with his wording because he might be getting closer to the start. Maybe now that he's meeting with Donald Trump, I don't know what it's about, but he definitely isn't really answering the questions here.
I think that
XRP is attached to a company, Ripple.
I think that those are tokens, and we should have a regulatory framework to allow them to be issued because...
Issued, but in the reserve? Should they be in the reserve?
I think the emerging consensus in the industry is that Bitcoin should be the element in a strategic reserve over the long term for the country. But if you wanted to support various investments in a sovereign wealth fund, that would be up to the executive branch.
Okay, so let's be clear. I'm hearing you say the reserve fund should really have the tested one, and that is Bitcoin, and not Solana or Cardano or Solana.
The important thing to keep in mind is Bitcoin is the one universally agreed upon foundational asset in the entire crypto economy because it's the asset without an issuer.
It's widely adopted and extensively used throughout the crypto economy in various sectors of the global cryptocurrency market because it is the asset without a provider. It's neutral. Buy Bitcoin now or don't buy any shitcoins or whatever, but he's being very, very reserved here. It's really, really interesting how he's currently positioning himself regarding Bitcoin. Oh, and what I almost forgot to mention is that he also hinted here, as you can see, that the US is going to buy 1 million Bitcoin. And it's simply because he's addressing the Cynthia Lummis mill here. And here he says that you shouldn't buy Bitcoin all at once, but rather over a longer period of time. Keep buying Bitcoin until you've accumulated 1 million Bitcoin. And then he makes another important statement here, which is also, oh, if you can't quite catch it, it goes on for about 10 minutes or so. He says here, the strategic reserve of Bitcoin positions the US as a front runner in the race for dominance in cyberspace. So here, in this space race, Bitcoin is right at the forefront. Michael Saylor says you definitely need to have Bitcoin to be at the forefront. And now there's this hyper-bullish emergency update. We're actually seeing Donald Trump here. He's buying massive amounts of Bitcoin. We're seeing here that he bought Bitcoin and Ethereum for $10 million. So, not Donald Trump, but WorldLiberty.fi. So, his company or his shitcoin operation, his trading firm, and so on. So, it looks like he even has Bitcoin here. We need to see if those are wrapped Bitcoins or if they're real Bitcoins. So, these are wrapped Bitcoins again. He's always buying the shitcoin version of Bitcoin with WorldLiberty.fi. So basically, it's a derivative of Bitcoin. Still, I would call it a Bitcoin purchase because the Bitcoin will still be praised in the main chain. And we actually see, just like I said, that he bought 10 million in Bitcoin and 10 million in Ethereum. This definitely has a bit of a bad taste to it. One day here before the crypto gathering, they were filling their bags again. And that could also mean that another insider deal is taking place. And then we have Bitwise CEO Marty Eugen, who actually says that Donald Trump's crypto reserves will mostly or nearly entirely consist of Bitcoin. So it's going to be almost all Bitcoin. And it's going to be bigger than you think. So they're filling their pockets now. Bitwise CEO is also saying, hey, folks, this could get massive. We have the 50x position, which is basically being renamed here on March 7th. So the signs couldn't be more bullish. Let me know if you're also hyper bullish. This could turn into an absolute massacre. Or maybe not. I don't know. If you want to be part of a space race now, then I'll drop a link for you below. 21. Bitcoin, how you can easily, safely, and simply buy Bitcoin. Use the Gold Bitcoin Hotel here. Here you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. Absolutely recommended. Super easy, safe, and simple for beginners and pros alike. Limit orders, one-time purchase orders, savings plans, and much more are available here. Tell me what you think about it. I'm saying goodbye from the beach here. The sunset is back there. Sunset is coming up soon. I'm all set for the sunset. I'm going to go around a bit more. Bathing. See you later.